Bhagavatam Advaitaamritavarshini Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayini Amba Tvam Anusandhavami Bhagavad-gīte Bhagavad-ve. So, dear friends, yesterday we were seeing about that how the tremendous power of attachment does not let the message of sages sink in our heart. And so, in spite of getting the message that Arjuna, you must practice the discipline of yoga, you fight, tasmad yogaya yujjasva, that now you start doing your duty, do this karma yoga, fight the righteous war, that is that's your duty, and do not hesitate about it, even after being told in no uncertain terms. Again and again, we read in again 3rd chapter, Arjuna raising the question, and in 5th chapter, again, similar sounding question comes on a different contextual background. That first in the 3rd chapter, he actually accuses Krishna that, well, you are praising the knowledge that comes from the renunciation of everything, and still you are pressing me to do this, fight this war. How can this be? You are as if somebody goes to the physician and says, well, this is my malady, and the physician says, oh, okay, this is the medicine for your problem, and this is another thing that is poison. But I prescribe you, you don't take this good medicine, you take the poison. How will you rate that doctor? The one who tells you don't take the good medicine only shows it to you, but does not prescribe it to you, and prescribes to you that which is poison. You are not likely to rate that doctor very highly. So Arjuna's reaction was very similar there. That was in the 3rd chapter, beginning of the 3rd chapter. Arjuna's question was like that. And then in the 5th chapter, in the 4th chapter, a comprehensive illumination was given to Arjuna about the 2 paths. Yet Arjuna comes with this, that okay, you are now confusing me by praising both of them. Now tell me one of them so that I will be free from all doubts. What is going to be good for me? And again, Lord says, don't try to separate these. One leads to another. It is a bud that becomes flower, isn't it? That is, say, a bud that opens up and blossoms into a flower. Now, it is that kind of relationship is there between the yoga and knowledge. So, Bhagavan clarifies to Arjuna that see this 4th verse that we shall study now. Sankhya yogo prithak bala pravadante na panditaha ekam api astita samyak ubhayor vindate phalam. Come on, read the translation.
It is only the childish and not the wise that speak of Sankhya, or knowledge accompanied by the abandonment of work. and yoga, or communion through detached and dedicated work, as different. A person well established in even one of these attains the end that is the common goal of both.
Yeah, common goal of both is being established in one. In previous verse also he has said that I have told both and both are great. But in amongst the two, the path of yoga, that is karma yoga, has a special significance for you. It is vishishyate, that is greater, that is more suitable for you. You are not at the level where you can give up all work. It is, even if you want, emotionally, sometimes people think, done with it, I don't want to do any work. But that lasts for 2 minutes, if at all. And then you again want to have some work, you start missing the works. So it is giving up the work is not an option for you at this moment. So therefore, for you, the practice of yoga, vishishyate, that is what is needed by you at this moment. And he continues that both of them lead to the same goal, only the childish people. And from that point of view, a lot of us are childish. We are not childlike. It is a different childlike suggests simplicity. Means there is no such hiding something and having some bad ulterior motives behind the action, no manipulativeness. That is the meaning of being a childlike person. Sri Ramakrishna is described as a very childlike. But childish means although grown up and having all those bad tendencies, yet doesn't have this simple understanding and behaves thus in a childish way. So that is the meaning of Arjuna's statement. So you do not, he doesn't say to Arjuna because people get incensed, you call me childish. So it is, instead of saying that you are childish, he is saying that, oh, only childish people say that they are different, means you are childish. By instead of saying very directly, he is hinting at that this is a childish, and most of us feel like that. What Arjuna's feeling is, it is the feeling of so many people who think that either one should have the path of yoga, that is karma yoga, or the path of renunciation, as if they are different, as if they are leading to different goals. Not only the paths are not different, there is a difference in the way that they are practiced depending on the eligibility of the person. That is the important thing. That some, when the Ramakrishna mission was very, very new, and Mahapurush Maharaj Swami Shivananda was telling why this mutt has been established and why Vivekananda wanted everybody, all these newcomers to get into intense work, is because they will not be able to stay without work. It was for us who have seen Thakur and have been blessed by Thakur to have, all the knowledge has been given to us by Sri Ramakrishna. And we could have just spent all our time, rest of our life meditating. But how many can do that? And so to present before the younger generation this ideal of yoga, we also have given up staying in those secluded places and spending exclusively meditative life. We also have come into this field of work to train you people. So it is the question of the availability of that path, accessibility to most people. We are all addicted to work, like what I was telling, workaholic. It is an addiction that one cannot easily get rid of that. So that like that detox techniques are to be put in. So this it is technique to wean somebody from getting involved into work, that has to be first given. That do work as much as needed, as much as prescribed. It is not easy. The work has that kind of attraction that you get into it and then constantly all the time you will be doing work. No, I don't have time to do spiritual practice. It is because day and night I have to do work. And at other time also when I don't have my meetings, I have to think about those. So, hey, why are you looking at your dad? Does he do like that?
Kind of.
Huh?
Kind of.
What?
Kind of.
Kind of, yeah. So that is, at that stage, how can you give up work? No possibility. But you can turn your work, give it a proper turn, so that you will become free of that. They are prithak, bala, vadanti. That bala, vadanti, childish people say. Those who know, panditaha na, those who are learned in both of them, they don't say like that. And if you follow even one of them, which is not again very easy for us, that path of giving up all work is neither easy nor difficult, it is impossible. It is impossible. And path of this karma yoga is possible, but one has to have the intention. The difficulty is intentional, means to have that right intention, then you can put in efforts according to that intention. There has to be that intention, determination that I have to do it. And then training one's mind becomes possible, and as the time goes on, it becomes easy also. It is, so it is told that if you follow even one path properly, samyak, means in all its aspects, then you get the result of both, because both lead to the same ultimate destination. This one has to feel, one has to remember that by doing work, you get the same result. Whatever station we are in, we should work according to the requirements of that particular station, and that one may be, say, a young person going to school. Now, at that stage, there are some requirements. For example, this Olini is in the 11th grade, so she has to stick to that. She cannot say that, okay, I will follow somebody else's path. That's not good. It is alluring. Why it is to be told is somebody else's duty, somebody else's path appears to be very alluring. I had told sometimes that I used to feel I was in some second grade or third grade and used to get very upset with my parents. And they would put restrictions. Hey, you have to come back home at this hour from your play, and getting constantly into playing. I wouldn't like to get back to home fast enough. So it used to be felt, very difficult to come back at home. Otherwise, the scoldings were already scoldings plus beatings and all that. So, but then, and then they sit, do your studies, and complete that now. How much you have completed? My parents were quite on top of that. So, and I used to say, one of my cousins, that he was coming any time home, and I was not seeing him doing much studies either at home, and nobody was saying anything to him. He was doing PhD. So I told my parents that why don't you do, he is coming so late, and why don't you ask him about his homework? Why he doesn't come at home at proper time? Well, he is doing PhD. I threw my book away, my second or third grade book away. I also want to do PhD. Well, first, it is still a problem for you to clear your second grade exam, and then what to speak of doing PhD. But if you properly study and continue to do that, maybe one day you will be able to get there. So, follow the path that is suitable to your stage of life. Somebody else's path appears to be so nice. And no, it is not for you. It is, you have to follow what is the discipline of your path. So, the same thing is again stressed in the next verse. It needs stressing again and again, because like a stain that is, say, on a cloth, you have to rub it again and again with soap and some other stuff to get the stain out. So the stain on Arjuna's mind, that no, I don't want to fight the war, was so strong. See, Bhagavad Gita was told right on the battlefield. So this is fourth chapter, maybe just half an hour ago, 20 minutes ago, Arjuna was telling, I am not going to fight the war. Krishna was telling him, no, I am not going to fight the war. So now, after convincing, still that impression does not go. Again and again, it brings its head up. So the illumination has to be given again repeatedly. So repeatedly take that medication. So Krishna very compassionately tells it again, Yad Sankhya Prapyate Sthanam Tad Yogairapi Gamyate Ekam Sankhyam Cha Yogam Cha Yap Pashyati Sapashyati. Come on, read.
state which one attains by Sankhya, that same state is attained by Yoga too. He who sees both Sankhya and Yoga as one, sees indeed.
Yeah. So that means that person is indeed, he sees. Whatever is real, if that person sees that is real, then that is really seeing. Like Arya is sitting in front of me here, and if I ask, call him, hey Ulka, please come here. Am I seeing then? I am not seeing because Ulka is not sitting right here. It is Arya who is sitting. So I have to see as things are. Then that is called seeing. Otherwise, it is the misperception, visual aberration, that it is. So, that which doesn't exist, we see it as it were existing. Like we see a horizon. Do you know, Olini, what is horizon? Do you see horizon?
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you see, isn't it? Is it really there?
Yeah.
Yeah. You see it, but such a line is really there? Can you ever catch horizon? How much you have to run to get to the horizon? What do you think? How much you have to run?
Forever.
Forever, because such a thing does not exist, correct? Very good. Even if you keep on running all the time, you will never get there. And that is called optical illusion. It is not there, and yet you are seeing. Is it proper seeing? No, it is not proper seeing. Proper seeing is seeing as the things are. So those who see it properly, what do they say? Say that whatever goal you get through the practice of, see, Sankhya here is a bit confusing word. In Bhagavad Gita, this word Sankhya comes in a sense that it is a rational path of discernment and accordingly renunciation. That whatever you first discern, discernment must follow by dispassion. That if you discern that this food is poison, it is mixed with poison, then what will you do? You will not eat it, you will not get there at all. So that is the path of Sankhya called here. There is a Sankhya philosophy, and which is very, very different. That is not what is spoken of when Bhagavad Gita uses the word Sankhya. Here, for example, second chapter, the title itself was Sankhya Yoga. What it means is the path of discernment. That's it. It is logical, rational analysis of a subject. That is called Sankhya. It comes from the word Sankhya. Sankhya means to count. Our logic is all counting. So, first step, second step, third step, like that. It is. So, that is the Sankhya. But there is the Sankhya philosophy, which also is a rational presentation of our experience, but it starts with this duality and ends in duality. In our perception, there is this two, the knower and the known. And this is the Sankhya philosophy analyzes that very threadbare, and very deep analysis. One cannot, that kind of deep analysis is not there in any modern philosophy or modern science. So deep is that analysis. But it ends by maintaining these two, the seer and the seen. There is no non-duality there. It is also an atheistic philosophy. Sankhya is atheist. They do not accept any God or any superpower. It is atheist philosophy. But this is where in Bhagavad Gita the word Sankhya refers to the path of discernment, path of knowledge. So Jnana Yoga, in simple these days what word has been made very understandable and common usage by Vivekananda, Jnana Yoga. That is this, that Yat Sankhya Prapyate Sthanam Tad Yogairapi Gamyate. You get to the same goal by practicing Karma Yoga as well as by practicing this path of discernment. Now, which path you should be taking? Well, it depends on where you are, you know. Depends on where you are. Like we came from Providence yesterday. Now, well, that road 95 that we took, it is a very crowded road. But that is what Providence, our city Providence is on that road. So you have to take 95. Why did you not take 76? Oh, well, eventually we came on 76. But how can we come on 76 from Providence itself? The road doesn't go there. You know, that option is not available for people staying in Providence to straight way take a ramp on 76. You drive how much did we drive on the other roads before we got to 76 yesterday? About 300 miles at least, I think, yeah. 300 miles, after driving 300 miles, then we got on to 76. So, Arjuna, look at where you are. It is okay that you get to Pittsburgh by 76, and that is a very nice road, not as crowded as 95. But it is not available to you. You have to follow the path that is available to you. And don't worry about what is not available to you. It may be alluring. Oh, that road is so nice, so broad, so little traffic there. But it is not where you are starting from. So not available to you at the moment. That one Swami used to tell us that if a wolf wants to imitate a lion, and then what happens? There is no question of becoming a lion. He becomes a morbid wolf. At least to begin with was a good wolf, you know. Now wanted to, imitate a lion. So all does not remain wolf, a good wolf and not a lion, loses the capacities of a wolf and doesn't get the capacities of a lion. That is the end result of trying to imitate path that is not psychologically suitable to us. So Krishna tells Arjuna that giving up the work and feeling that, oh, I am one without second, there is nothing, no work for me, I am beyond all work. you are not constitutionally at that stage. And so, instead of saying that, oh, well, I want to do that, first get eligibility to do that. First get eligibility to pass the second grade. Then gradually, if possible, you may reach the PhD. So, that is what is the difference between the two. That do whatever is right at your level and correctly as yoga. Doing work is not doing karma yoga. And it will be karma bhoga or worse, karma roga. That it is, you get addicted to doing work. It becomes a terrible addiction. You cannot get away from it. You say that, okay, I will stop the work at this time and sit for meditation, but work doesn't leave you. It keeps on rotating in your brain all the time. Oh, I should have done like that. Oh, I wanted to call that fellow. Okay, and this particular passage I have to write down before I forget. So, while meditating also, all those thoughts keep on cropping up. What to think of, for talking comes very easy. I want to sit for meditation and not budge from my place for 6 hours. I would be like Buddha. Oh, well, it is worse than daydreaming, So it is, don't do that. Both lead to the same goal. And what is suitable for you, do it. So that is the content of the next, that is 6th verse. That. And Krishna is not discouraging Arjuna, very psychologically, very lovingly, he is pointing out to Arjuna that why you want to take up a difficult path? If there is the easier path and a difficult path, what will you choose, Arya?
Easier path.
Easier path, yeah, what it is, no-brainer. It is the law of nature also, the path of least resistance. So, take the path of least resistance and thus you will attain to the goal without a problem. That is the 6th verse. Sanyasastu mahabaho dukhamaptum ayogatah yoga yukto muni brahma achirena adhigacchati. Come on.
O Arjuna, true abandonment of work, which the discipline of Sankhya implies, is difficult to practice for one who is not accomplished in the yoga discipline of detached work. But the sage accomplished in yoga attains to Brahman in no long time.
Yeah. So, the one who is not adept to following this path, it is very difficult to take up this discipline of path of knowledge. So, why you want to just go on breaking your head on the wall? It is sometimes in this madness. People do like that. Therefore, it is advised that it is, don't do like that. You take up the path that is constitutionally suitable to you. And we don't want to take that. That is the effect of Maya. Maya does not want us to realize God. So it brings all these problems before us. It brings us the temptation of some other path that we are not constitutionally, the proper person to adopt to that path. We are not there. So what can you do? And the one that you are there, what will happen? Imagine that yesterday had we thought, Teresa, that we have to go by 76. We will not get on to 95. The result would be you stay put in Providence. You will never reach Pittsburgh. It is. So one has to see what is where we are. A wise decision has to be made. We have a lot of knowledge and very little wisdom. That becomes the problem, you know. We read a lot and then have a lot of this brains. Our brain is on storm, not that we are brainstorming, that is another word. But our brain goes in a storm. So it is, so Krishna is, at that time one needs to be cajoled into following the right path, that no harsh words to be used. So he doesn't say, Arjuna, you fool. No. He has hinted that, but he didn't say directly to Arjuna. And now he says that, look here, this path of giving up all activities, sannyasa, the path of renouncing all activity. Sannyasis, they give up all work. They have no work to do. Why work to be done? Work is done through desires. And if you do not have any desire, you will not do any work. Sannyasis who have given up therefore all desires, there is no work for them, quite clear. But to give up the desires, is it so easy? No, that will push you to and get work done from you. You may be not very well physically feeling sick, but if a desire arises, then that desire will force you to do work. You will push away the sickness. When that desire arises, that will push you to do the work. So it is very, very difficult to give up the work for people who are addicted. So somebody like addicted to alcohol, they're very difficult. Some they are, because of some genetic connection, they get quickly addicted to alcohol. So they are told, especially in Ireland, many children, they are asked to take a vow of never touching, because genetically that racial connection is there with alcohol. If they take it, then they have to keep on taking it in more and more quantity. Our one Irish devotee in Providence, she told me, therefore, a joke, that there is that dispute between England and Ireland and all that was going on. So that Irish people threatened Britishers that we will take the case to United Nations, we will sue you in the international courts. The Britishers laughed and said, hey, you cannot do that, you have no lawyers. Why? Because you cannot pass bar, Unless you pass bar, how can you be a lawyer, you see? So it is, the addiction becomes so strong. It is. And work addiction is worse than alcohol addiction. It is, you have to do work. It is not considered an addiction because it is a common malady with all human beings. So whatever is the fault of all is fault of none. So, but when you want to climb the spiritual path, want to realize the truth, want to get beyond this tormentation of this worldly existence, then you have to do something. Okay, now go through that detoxification process. That there is a process now you have to follow. You cannot say, no, I will not take any of those things at all. Well, your nature will force you to do that. So therefore, take a path that is along the trend of your personality. Do not hurt it. Very important thing, in psychology, that you have to control the mind. Controlling the mind and killing or de-energizing mind are not same thing. You have to keep the mind energetic, enthusiastic, full of its capabilities, and yet under control. What is the point in first killing the horse and then controlling it? It is killing the horse. What does it take it now to control it? If it is a really virulent horse with lot of energy and that very jumpy, ready to run fast, and now to control that horse requires skills. So it is that kind of skill is to be acquired. That controlling the mind. We were talking yesterday after the class while having our supper, that what is it? Doing work dexterously, nicely, is it yoga? That is just as insignificant part of yoga. That you, of course, must be, when you are doing some work, to do it to perfection. Do it as good as it can be done. No haphazardness about it. It has to be done well. But that doesn't mean it is yoga. Yoga means while doing it dexterously, skillfully, do not get caught in it. That is the yoga. It is karma yoga is that. So learn that technique. And as one practices it, one can do it. Friends, you cannot tell me that it cannot be done. I have seen thousands and thousands of people practicing this and successfully doing it. To some extent, some to say 10%, some to 20%, some to 50%, 60%. And I'm talking not of the monks, I'm talking about householders. By practicing this path of karma yoga, they have gradually gotten over so many, they're being buffeted by likes and dislikes. They have put a control on that. That it is, they have learned to control many other natural propensities of mind. Work is a training ground. So it is, work is to be used as a field for training. It is a school that you go to get properly trained in how to do work without getting caught in the work. It is like a circus, that trainer of lions and tigers and all. They train these very wild, ferocious and powerful animals to such an extent that just by their these signals, that powerful brute just acts exactly like that, like a slave. They give their neck in the mouth, in the jaws of a tiger. and the tiger doesn't do anything. See what control, under what control they have put that tiger. So one can get some success gradually by practice. It is given possible for everyone. If we try, the problem is we don't try. That no, it's not for me. After all, I am not a saint, An ordinary person like me, how much can I achieve? So forget about it, friends. Let us not delude ourselves by saying that we are ordinary beings. We have come to the feet of Thakur Ma Swamiji. Are we ordinary? No. It is Swami Vivekananda exhorts his brother disciples that we can do whatever. We are Sri Ramakrishna Dasa Vayam. We are the servants of Thakur Ma Swamiji. What is impossible for us? Only let not our negative mentality hinder us. The biggest problems, no, I cannot do it. Then, of course, by definition, you will not be able to do it because you classify you as one who cannot do it. And you will preserve that identity of your self-identity preservation is an instinct. So it is in psychology, therefore, that becomes a problem called, that day, how you define your identity, change your understanding of who you are. If you say, no, I cannot do that, then you form that as your identity and your actions will be done such that you show that, did I not tell you, I cannot do it? Because you yourself said that. You will not be able to do that. So never ever make yourself into that negative identity. No, I cannot. Swami Vivekananda therefore used to say, if you think that you cannot do something, then don't come to me. It is, you are a human being. So what other human being could do? By training, by practice, by changing your attitude, you will be able to do it. Do you believe in this, friends? Do you believe? Come on, say yes or no. Yes. Yes. Say loudly. Yes. And keep on saying it to yourself. Yes, I can do it. And then you see, successfully you will do it. No, I cannot. No. Swami, I was born of, that family. And we didn't have that. Keep on crying for no reason. And then spend life in just weeping. It is Swami Vivekananda, therefore, exhorts us. We have wept for thousands of years. Enough of crying. It does not take us anywhere. Come on, stand up. Start practicing. Yes, that sannyasastu mahabaho dukkham aptum ayogataha. Don't take up to, that path which is not possible for you. But that doesn't mean getting the goal is not possible for you. Take that path which you can go according to your psychological geodesic, that it is the path that is suitable to you. Go along with that. And that is a very nice thing to learn, that for a bird to go, catch a fruit. There is a fruit on a tree and the bird is looking at it from the skies. And then the bird just can fly there, dive there and pick up the fruit. An ant is on some branch of that same tree. Now the ant has no way to jump there. like the bird cannot fly there. So but that doesn't mean that ant cannot get to that fruit. Ant has to follow its constitutional path to get to it. And ant will get it gradually in its own way. The result is the same. The bird gets it, and the ant also gets it. So, but if the ant thinks, I want to fly, I don't, well, then sit where you are, don't, you don't have the means to fly. Constitutionally, you don't have that, but that doesn't mean that you won't get the fruit. And don't think that, oh, I now entered into married life. I shouldn't have probably, but now it is too late to think about it. So no spiritual life for me, nonsense. If spiritual life is only for the monks, then that means spiritual life is for a very, very, very tiny minority of humanity. Almost, 0.001% or less. How many take to monastic life? But spiritual life is for everyone. And it is for monastics also. But the monastic doesn't mean that it is an easy thing. Just because somebody puts on these garments does not mean that one becomes monastic. When somebody gives home and hearts, no family, does not do any work, so to say, does that person really become a monk? Not necessarily. These are the external signs. Like somebody can put on the dress, all that uniform of a that army commander. You can get those costumes, for Halloween and all. People put on such stuff. Does that person automatically, by putting on that garment, and gets the ability to fight the war? If he is given a rifle, he may not know which end to hold. So that is the situation, you see. So therefore, just by putting on these garments, one does not become a monk. That is very simple, like Yogatmananda, becoming a monk. What do I do? That is the question, So, therefore, even for monastics, it is told you do the duty, do your work, learn detachment. That is the path that is suitable for all. There is a Buddha who in discernment saw, and no work for him, and yet he did work so much. Shankaracharya, that fire of illumination, no work, and yet who did more work than Shankaracharya in that about 32 years of life. So we have to see what we can achieve in this way. So it is, so in this couple of verses now, it is told that how the real sannyasi is same as the real yogi. True person of renunciation is no different from the true person who involves in this yoga, dedicated work, and dedicated work free from all attachment. So that, and the person who takes to a good monastic life, they are same. What is the criterion to become a monk? What is the criterion to become a monk? in coming 2-3 verses that would be told in no uncertain terms. And even in this beginning of the 6th chapter, that has been very clearly stated. What is here? It says, Yoga Yukto. First, it is told that how if you follow the path of yoga, then what? Where do you reach and how? Look at your path. Yoga Yukto Vishuddhatma Vijitatma Jitendriya Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma Kurvannapi na lipyate.
One who is established in selfless and detached action, who is pure, whose mind and senses are under control, and whose self is identified with the self of all, that person is never bound, though he or she be engaged in work.
Yes. So Yoga Yukto, you follow now the path of yoga. Where does it lead you to? Just as following the path at Route 95, we gradually came to Route 76. So this following the path of Karma Yoga, where you will be led, that Vishuddhatma, you will become purified. Purified means that your habit of working like a slave of desires, that will go away. You will do work because this is to be done. You have been given this as your duty. Do it in the spirit of service and duty, and not propelled by any desire. This is, this is a lot of training has to be given to mind to learn to do that, friends. Because in most cases, our work is propelled by desire. And that desire tells me to do something and I go and do it. I have to see more patients. It is not necessary, it is, but you are habituated to do a lot of work. So go on doing work. It is not necessary at all. I told you, I suppose, some years ago, that incident in just on the border of that Niagara Falls on the Canada side. One of our devotee doctor lives there. And then whenever we go around there, he insists that we must come and see him. Just inform him, he will be at home, and he loves that. But one day we were there and we didn't go, but somehow, for whatever other reason, I don't want to go into the details of it, we ended up in his home. And then he said, "Hey, why you were not informing me that you are coming?" I said, "Well, you are a busy doctor here, and we don't want to take away the time of your, patient's time." So we said, "No." He said, "Forget about it. The patients, and that was a humorous remark. Take it in the humorous vein, that he said, patients, whether they see the doctor or they don't see the doctor, outcome remains the same. Only income changes. The outcome remains the same. It is the income that changes. So, the point is, of course, it is, don't take it too seriously. What I mean is, there is a time to do the work. And whatever you work, that is, it need not be propelled by the desire or by the habit. It should be, conducted as the duty and without having any attachment. You should be able to free from the work at any moment. It should be as a matter of need. The other day I gave the example in Providence. There was the Sunday lecture on passion and dispassion. So when you want these light fixtures to come on, you flip the switch on, fully the lights are on, no half-heartedness there. You flip the switch on, they are on. When you don't want it, now what you do? What can I do? It is stuck there. If the switch is stuck there, it is not a switch. You better, bypass the switch, put the direct connection there. But there has to be the switch. I switch off and all the lights are gone. Similarly, when I need to work, switch on and keep the freedom of switching it off. It should be under your control. Let us work like masters, not like slaves. It is, don't be slave, a terrible thing. So work like masters, that yes, I will need to do this work, so I will do this. And as soon as it is done, I am off. And I have seen so many people, so many monks, that actually it was a great lesson to learn in my college days, to see that they are so busy doing work, and then the work is over, switched off, and then they are in meditation or other things. It is Swami Vivekananda says in a very short lecture, Sannyasa, its ideal and practice. A very short lecture. It is so important that what is expected by Swami Vivekananda of the monastics. He was speaking not only to monks, he was speaking to many devotees and monks, those who were followers of Sri Ramakrishna. All of them had assembled in this Belud to give send-off to Swami Vivekananda when he was going for his second voyage to America. And at that time, to the reception, Vivekananda gave a short lecture as a reply. And that short lecture is again shortened because it is not verbatim taken down. It was only the essence of that lecture that has been published in Complete Works of Vivekananda. So there he says that, look, at one moment, you should be ready to get completely absorbed in the studies of scriptures. Another moment, you close the books and go to work in the fields there, showing these fields, that work in the fields, whatever work is there. One moment then, finish the work, you are absorbed in meditation. And next moment, you should collect all the harvested that crops and take them to the market to sell it. So there is no difference between the two. As Sister Nivedita pointed out in the introduction to the Complete Works of Vivekananda, that henceforth there is no difference between secular and spiritual. Work is as important as meditation. It is, both are actually the same, if done properly. That is the thing, If done in the proper spirit of yoga, the work leads us to the same goal. So, Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma, So Vijitatma, control, everything is under the control. There is no just disturbance. Nothing is, it is not a tempest blowing in your brain all the time. Swami Vivekananda says, and in my younger days, I used to doubt, is it true? Unless there is that force of tremendous passion, how can one work? And the force of passion means, for me, I thought there will be kind of a tempest blowing in the brain. Swami Vivekananda says in Karma Yoga that the real worker is very calm. The one who is calm can do far more work because the energy is not wasted in this oscillations of mind. If we observe, we will see that lot of our energy that would have been constructively used for work, and that gets wasted in those useless oscillations in the mind. You are working for one thing and the mind is engaged in some other things. Because there is no control. No? It is so many thoughts keep on going in the mind. I was telling somebody that the other day that there is a story that I had read in my childhood, that you are working something. There was, a guest was coming in one family, very dignified, honored guest. But in spite of, there are personal these things, so he had a little unusually long nose, this man. And then that family had a little child, a bit mischievous. So the mother was telling that child, hey, you have to show your best manners, be very polite. And when the guest is coming there, do not say any uncharitable words about the nose of that, it is, so be very clear about it. Do not say anything. And still she knew the nature of her son, so she was still apprehensive. The guest had come and all, then the mother was, bringing some nice goodies for the guest to eat. So she had put coffee there and then asked the guest, would you like milk or cream in your nose instead of saying coffee? Because constantly thinking of the nose, the child was quite okay. Because the mother was constantly, while doing her work, she was busy when it is the nose. So ultimately it came out that would you like some cream or milk in your nose? So that is what happens, you see. So because the mind is going so many places all the time. So you are doing one thing, the mind is busy with other problem. So very important. This is the humorous thing, but this happens. See that it is the mind is working on something else. Your hands are working at something else. So therefore, there is a problem. One of our Swamis tells one incident that some big industrialist asked him that, I am very, very busy. I like to meditate, but I am very busy. How much time do I have to spend for meditation? And the Swami said, minus 1.5 hours. Minus one, he didn't say, think of minus. He said 1.5 hours is too much time. I cannot spend that much time. Look how busy my life is. Swami said, I didn't say 1.5 hours. I said minus 1.5 hours. And what do you mean by minus 1.5 hours? the Swami explained that if you do half an hour meditation, then your efficiency will increase to an extent that your work will be finished in 2 hours less time. So effectively you will gain 1.5 hours. So minus 1.5 hours you will have to spend in meditation. And this is so true. This is so true that your work becomes accomplished in much lesser time because of such an organized mind. This organized mind is there are chairs here, you know. Those phones and those papers, they don't need a separate chair, you see. So, okay. So that is how, anyway, we are about to end our first session. We already overshot. So, but that what it cuts is your tea time by 15 minutes is cut, you know. So instead of half an hour, finish the tea in 15 minutes, isn't it? Minus 15 minutes. Okay. गीता सुगीता कर्तव्या किमन्यत् शास्त्रविस्तरैः या स्वयं पद्मनाभस्य मुखपद्माद् विनिसृता एकं शास्त्रं देवकी पुत्रगीतम् एको देवो देवकी पुत्र एव एको मन्त्रः तस्य नामानि यानि कर्माप्येकं तस्य देवस्य सेवा। श्री कृष्णार्पणमस्तु।